run by Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, George Walker Bush at the command of George Herbert Walker Bush in the act of treason. Bill Clinton, George Herbert Walker Bush's adopted son, was in on it in as much as he knew what was going on and continued to keep up the charade. So what do we do about this? We find a righteous man somewhere. We let him kind of like villainize him, but not really. Kind of like make him look bad, but not really. They make him look like a man, a regular man, and put him in office. And when they put him in office, they say, we'll put you in office and we're going to give you this job. And you're going to have to drain the swamp. But you have to let the people believe you still following the agenda of this wicked bastard so that we can overthrow this tyranny that's suffocating everybody on earth. We looked around and there was a very eloquent supporter of Ronald Reagan and dear friend of his that loved him greatly and mourned him for a very long time, even while he was alive, because he knew what they were doing to him and he was under the threat of death. He was bound to silence. I'm not part of no organization that can threaten me. Everything that I'm part of is about redemption and righteousness. So we trained him. I tried to tell y'all, you see, we sent him to Vincent Kennedy McMahon to be seasoned in learning how to be the bad guy. So you go back and you watch wrestling and you see Donald Trump in wrestling beefing with Vincent Kennedy McMahon, learning how to be a heel. He had to learn how to be the bad guy because he's not really a bad guy. But he had to play the role. See, in order to catch a serpent, you might have to play the serpent. In order to catch a thief, you might have to play the thief. And this is all part of life. And this is all part of the way that, hey, how you doing? This is all part of the way we get from under this tyrant. So he drained the swamp. This side of the water, but we have swamplands all over the world. So when he drained the swamp, all right now, when he drained the swamp here, Vladimir Putin drained the swamp there. Nobody wanted to talk to North Korea because they went right from day one. It's not that South Korea wrong. South Korea was sequestered from North Korea in an attempt to split the nation, and they did it. But North Korea had a backer in China that kept the wolves at bay long enough for me to expose the fraud. And so when Donald Trump went to go talk to him, he told him, we don't have to keep it up no more. He is here. He's going to set the record straight. So the Vietnam War was about a $1 bet. All of those people suffered in Vietnam and died on both sides of the conflict was about a $1 bet between billionaires. It's all documented, and it's a parody of it called Coming to America. The two old men, it's not hard to find. Now, once this is exposed to the public in a sufficient format, I'm going to go back, pool all my resources, and I'm going to show you where every reference is for everything I'm telling you. They all know. Now, it's a problem I got here. Problem I got with entertainment. Because entertainment is supposed to beautify the life of humanity with art and music. It's supposed to give us plays, what we call them today, motion picture. It's supposed to give us stuff to give us a break between work and during our work phase of life, where we are beautified in the mind and the heart to keep us into a loving state, in an uplifted state. Next thing you know, here comes Zionists. Well, who the hell are they and where they come from? Now, they're like, you anti-Semitic. I don't even know what that is. I can't find Semitics nowhere in history. How can I be against something that don't exist? So I look into this, and they got this group, two of them. One's called the Jewish Defense League, and one called Anti-Defamation League. One of them, the Jewish Defense League, are the ones, the strong arm of the Zionist movement. They the ones that they call, it's a joke in the Screen Actors Guild in various parts of Hollywood. They call them star whackers. That's what they call them over there. They call them star whackers. But they kill entertainers that don't want to surrender their wealth after their careers. So you see what happened to Michael Jackson. You see what happened to Tupac. You see what happened to Biggie. They want us to look like it's something other than what it is. They playing, we playing. We're going to find out who got the best plan when it's all over with. Now, watch this. They go over there, they set up these companies. Now, they leave signatures behind. The Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM Studios, are very closely related to Golda Meir, who was one of the prime ministers of what we call Israel today. And they take the money from people that earn it because they feel entitled. This entitlement shit is bad, man. This is horrible. We got to get that out of the minds of the people. Nobody ain't entitled to nothing they don't earn. The only entitled person is an adolescent child. Nobody else is entitled. An adolescent child didn't ask to be here. But by the time he becomes a teen, he begins to learn how to take on the responsibility as a self. When he becomes an adult, he begins to learn how to enter into the work field and provide and produce. But some of them excel at an earlier age. So they need a different format. The educational format is controlled. If you get the book, The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, it's the entire blueprint. Now, I'm going to assemble my team of researchers, and I'm going to pick it apart for y'all and show y'all, because I already did it myself, so I know everything in it there that they said they had to control the world, they already did. Not going to do, they already did it. Their signature is on all their works. So they need to be compensated for their unjust works with justice. They need to be compensated for their unjust works with justice. So now, what do? We go to Hollywood and we get rid of the Jewish Defense League's positions of power. They don't need to be there. But this is how we going to do it so it don't cause too much disruptions in the day-to-day life. Every one of them, like example, I want Ted Fields to have to get in the UFC cage with Suge Knight and see how he fare. I want David Kenner to have to scrap with Dr. Dre and see how he fare. No, Harry-O. Send him in there with Harry-O in the joint. Let him go down there and fight Harry-O. See, Harry-O in there on some BS. You see? But he ain't no fool. So they take his money and start companies with, and don't want to pay his money back to him that he earned by working for the government in sales and distribution. Working for the government. He can't be in prison for working for the government. It's not a crime to work for your government. That's patriotic at heart. He was working for your government. The same with Freeway Ricky Ross. He was working for your government, but when Russell Poole exposed him, now they got to lock him up because the government don't want you to know they behind it, because then you're going to start asking questions. When you start asking questions, you're going to find out that it's a rogue faction of government. We've been infiltrated. Well, when did it happen? Go back. Dwight D. Eisenhower, leaving office, his farewell address, he told you about military-industrial complex and the potential of its power of oppression of all people on earth. America has assembled its military force to call the Leviathan force around the world under the military-industrial complex. Now, if you know your biblical text, you know what the Leviathan is, the great beast. You know what it is. You know who was behind it. But it ain't the people of America. It's a rogue faction within the government of America that's pushing this agenda. what do? We drained the swamp. Now we gave Donald Trump a job to get the imposters out at high levels of politics, and he exposed Hillary and her husband, William Jefferson Clinton. And he exposed, he haven't exposed them, but he is addressing it, has addressed it. Your Bushes, your Rumsfelds, your Cheneys, they all know what's up. They all in on it together. There's only one of these jackals I ain't quite figured out yet, so I'm not going to put his name in here. Because it looked like, but he might have been going to the right. So I'm not going to mention him. I have to talk to my elders that know him better than I do in order to determine if what I see is really what I see. Because at the close of the age, as you get closer to where I'm at, more deception is exposed, so the righteous have to use a greater deception than the deceiver. So sometimes the misdirection is confusing. I can go do the math on it, but I haven't done it yet because I don't want it really to be true, and I want to give the people an opportunity. Now, politics, as we see it, is corrupt. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It's corrupt. We need to revamp the whole system in every nation around this planet. One country at a time, but everybody got to start at home first. Everybody at home got to get the imposters out their house. When all of the imposters is in the streets, then we know what we up against. You know, that fake love, fake hugs, that shit. It's over. Now, all of the ones responsible, they're going to have an opportunity to defend themselves with the facts. But if they can't defend themselves with the facts and satisfy the people, they're going to have to get in that cage. And the ones that they wrong can pick who they want to resolve the matter. See, we got Dana White in this UFC stuff. And we got him there for a reason. Dana White's job is to make it, he was to help Europe develop their own fighting style on the heels of what happened in Babylon. Everybody gave a drop of blood, and then Europe was supposed to develop to their own level of greatness so that they can have their name in the history books. This was supposed to be done as Greeks, but they were sacked by Rome and raped by Rome, figuratively and literally. Figuratively and literally. All of this stuff is verifiable and will be verified with the facts in written form and video format. I'm going to do all of this work to show y'all. Now, I did a lot of work to get where I'm at now because I wouldn't be here if I didn't. I did a whole lot of research, investigation for a long time to find out why are we suffering like we are. I did the work. I got some more work now. While the imposters are being weeded out, they're going to all be sick.
Is and why we call her Big Mama.
Okay, so if you go to Egypt and you look in the Parthenon of Isis or the Temple of Isis in Dendora, you see this star zodiac in the ceiling. As you zoom in to the center, you're going to see what's known as Tawaret. She is the zootype of a hippopotamus, and she got in one hand, she got a big ass meat cleaver. All right. The energy that comes from the center of the universe is her energy. Right. As prime creator, we call her Big Mama because when we have a Big Mama on earth, she represents that energy. she behaves according to the energy that the universe operates from. She don't behave on what our hopes, wishes, and desires is. She's true to self and true to nature. So the prime creator is Big Mama. And we call our representatives or the head of the families in the matriarchy Big Mama. And then all of the Big Mamas get together and they form a council of elders. And they become the lawmakers. So they collectively harness more Big Mama energy or prime creator energy than anybody else because they are tuned in from their life lessons to the frequency. So they can, it's like your ancestors. Your ancestors talk to you through children and elders. They don't talk to you through somebody living in the humdrum of life because they can't hear them. So when we say Big Mama and Big Mama energy, we're talking prime creator and prime creative energies.
So with that being said, I remember I asked you this question prior in another live, to be able to distinguish the difference between the concept of Big Mama and the concept of non-ether. Can you just give just a brief explanation of that for the listeners?
So we call prime creator Big Mama. Non-ether is the energy she used to create dark matter, which is pure Big Mama energy. So when we talking non-ether, this is what we're talking about. The highest expression of all creative forces rolled into one, non-ether. And it's reflected on the earth by the lowest frequency to maintain the holographic matrix of 6 ether.
So we always been taught that you have 9 ether, 6 ether, and 3 ether, right? And relative to the physical, 9 ether beings was considered dark-skinned woolly haired people or the black or brown race. And the 6 ether and the 3 ether represented the pale and albino races. How true is that in relation to the knowledge that you know about 9 ether, 6 ether, and 3 ether?
I'm not familiar with the 3 ether. I know that the 6 ether, as Pops explained it, 6 ether in death becomes ghost, right? And ghost is going back to prime source, the back way, the bottom way. Whereas 9 ether is going to source out the top. That's why they got us disoriented. South is up, north is down, but they told us it's the other way around.
Right. Now I made a PowerPoint a while back about that. And I made a video about 2 years ago about it, breaking it down from a thermodynamic perspective. I'm showing everybody the thermodynamic process of 9 ether going from 9 to 6 and 6 to 3, 3 back to 6 and 6 back to 9. So I follow you.
Mm-hmm. So the paradigm of 369 is predicated upon a 3-sided pyramid. And the 3-sided pyramid, the pyramid means fire in the middle. So the 3-sided pyramid becomes the agency by which you harness the what they call the creative fires or the creative energies, which is again dark matter, unseen energy, and you're able to utilize it to effectuate all type of alchemical processes in varying different things. So you take a dull razor blade and you set it under a small pyramid, and next thing you know, it's sharp for no reason.
That's interesting. So when we talk about numerology numbers, right? We see that there was a video that I watched on Nikola Tesla, and he was breaking down certain numbers that had basically various influences on the universe, and he used 369. What are the relevance to those 3 numbers as it relates to the universe?
The 369 is the creative potentialities. It starts with the 3. Remember, 2 or more gathered together in my name, there I am also. If 2 gathered together and I am there also, it'd be number 3.
Right.
Right. So now if you're building a pyramid with 3 sides, you got I am there also 3 times with the 3, then the 6, then the 9. So now you got triple creative potentialities converging at the center of the pyramid, which generates the fire in the middle.
Okay. That's pretty much what the video was explaining, but they just went a little bit more in depth, and they was just showing, like, when you add these numbers from the top to the bottom, you know, it all comes back to 9, and pretty much the narrative was that 9 was the highest number in mathematics.
It is. In Egypt, they don't count from 1 to 9. They count from 9 to 1. But over here, well, they actually count from 10 to 1. 10 being the highest expression of alpha meeting omega, the unity of the beginning and the ending. It's represented by the serpent with the tail in his mouth.
Okay. So let's go here with it then. All right. So when you start talking about the origin, structure, and evolution of the universe, they always name a prime mover. Would that prime mover be Big Mama?
That's Big Mama energy.
Okay. And
it's called, in modern science, it's called prima mater. If you look at the word prima mater, it really translates from Latin to English as the prime mother.
Right, because matter does mean mother in etymology.
Mm-hmm.
So what are they actually trying to convey by using the terminology prime mother? I mean, not prime mother, I'm sorry, prime mover.
They're just trying to talk over your head with double talk, because we know that the prime mover is the prime mother.
Right.
So if the source don't say it, it don't move.
Okay. So if we look at the fact that the sisters, or, you know, are supposed to be in the position of actually, like, ruling and building the council, but when we look in history, men have pretty much overthrown them. In what way, when the matriarchal society rises, like, completely, can we make sure, or is there a way that we can make sure that that doesn't happen?
Well, the only reason why it happened because of what Bobby Hemming liked to call the great debauchery, when they created some synthetic humans that were sentient. And that violated galactic law because they had no right of ascension.
Okay. What does right of ascension represent?
Your ability to traverse higher realms of consciousness. What used to happen with them is they would have a neurological shutdown whenever the sacred secretion began to rise. It caused strokes, and it caused them to end up like Stephen Hawkins. If their thoughts get too powerful, their body starts to suffer because they are genetically engineered to die before they ever reach God status.
Okay. So explain right of ascension.
The right of ascension is one of the earth rights, right? And the women have always been in charge of the earth rights. And it's your right to be unrestricted in your spiritual development in the free will universe. It's a right. It's not a privilege. So when you deprive somebody of the right to ascend and they sentient, then you acting as what we would call in modern terminologies as devil.
Okay. That's deep, because now it's almost like saying that everything has its proper place and position. And when you're moving contrary to that, for one, it's going to disrupt the harmony of it all, but it's also going to actually put you in a certain level, or put you on a certain level, I should say, that gives you pretty much a bad disposition.
Right. So when we talk about earth rights, right, that's the right to do what's necessary for the maintenance of the land, the air, and the water, which we call the Great Law. And that right falls to the women first, because Earth is a feminine planet. Had we been on Mars, patriarchy would have been the order. We're not on Mars. We on Earth.
Okay. So would you say that that's coming more sooner than later as far as this re-erection of the matriarchal society, or we still have a long way to go?
It's happening in real time. Most people not even seeing it because they're too caught up in the humdrum of go to work, send the kids to school, come home, cook dinner, and go to bed. They can't see shit. Their life is going by in a blur. They doing the same thing today that they was doing on this day 10 years ago.
Okay.
That's why they teach you to follow habits, so that you won't be able to innovate on anything new, because you fall into that into a cycle, and that cycle is what locks you into the slavery. It's all systematically designed that way.
So what qualities do we need to look for in the sister to notice that they have what it takes to be in that position? Because I'm pretty sure that everyone may not, fit the criteria.
Most loved, most respected is the standard. The sister that's most loved and respected by the most women around the world is the highest ranked woman on the planet.
I remember you said that you referred to Farrakhan's wife, who presently holds those qualities.
Yeah, she is the most loved, most respected out of all of the women leaders she met around the world. They all loved her and respected her more than they did each other.
Do you think that that's due to Farrakhan being Farrakhan, or her blazing her own path?
That's like saying what came first, the chicken or the egg. They can listen. When they went to Claire got to get a juice to at that time her name is Betsy Ross.
Right.
She got to give her the juice. The only way she gonna give her the juice is if she give her the righteous name. The righteous name is Khadijah. Her name is not Khadijah Farrakhan, is Khadijah Muhammad.
Right.
Farrakhan name is Farrakhan Muhammad. Right. But we tend to call her Khadijah Farrakhan and call him Louis Farrakhan. That's because we don't know who they is.
Okay.
In Egypt, Farrakhan was known as the Pharaoh A', who was the interim leader when King Tut was assassinated.
Okay. So back to Egypt, this is another question I've been asked for you to expound on. Why did the Egyptians put different animals' heads to represent different gods and goddesses? Like, what does those animals have in common with those energies of those deities?
Every tribe have a totem animal that represents their clan. So let's say over here, you see a totem pole, you see mostly animals on it. Those are the totem animal of each tribe that's on that pole. That's who's in this area. The totem animal just tells you whose turn it is to rule.
Okay. So the Egyptians use a plethora of different animals. They use frogs, they use
all
lions.
of those clans have ruled already. It's only one left. The last one to rise to power, you don't see him in the hieroglyphics. And that's the gorilla.
Who is that?
The gorilla.
Okay, and why is that?
Because it's time to rule hadn't came yet. It just now got here.
So what intellectually speaking was it that created that representation for the deities?
The zoo type?
The who?
What do you mean, what you mean by representation of the deities?
Okay, so the goddess Sekhmet had a lion head or a lioness head. Mm-hmm. Why did they associate the lion with her, but they associated the ibis bird with Thoth or Tahuti?
So the lioness, you study the lion and you understand why she's represented as the lioness. The Sekhmet position is the next one of the Sibyls in line to become the queen of heaven and earth.
Okay.
Right? So she'll be Sekhmet until the rule of the former Osset has been exhausted or depleted. And then the Sekhmet is the next in line. So it's a priesthood under Sekhmet. It's a priesthood under Bast. Bast fall under Sekhmet. Bast is represented by the Black Panther, a cat. And also the house cats, which is the familiars of those who come from the house of the feline. Feline means feminine line, meaning the mother line of rulership on earth. Tahuti having the Hebrews head is because the way that the bird, when he's looking for his food, he appears to be studying. So the bird, the Benu bird that studies, became synonymous with the man who studied out of the bird clans, right? And there's all kind of bird clans: hawks, falcons, eagles, condors, vultures. They all have a different expression, but they all fall under Tahuti as the feathered serpents.
So what should the brothers be doing right now? Us as the men, what should we be doing right now?
Everybody got to do what they feel in their heart they're driven to do. For somebody to tell you what you should be doing, that means that you don't know who you are yet.
Right.
So the first order of business is to study the self. Find out who you are. Look for yourself in everything you read and write.
Okay. So the reason why, well, I'm guessing this now. One of the brothers asked that is maybe because there may be some specific things. Of course, we know, the shadow work has to be done, but maybe some other things that they, I guess, hadn't yet come to the realization that, the brothers should actually be doing to put themselves in a better position.
Well, a couple of things you should be doing: clean your filters, your liver, kidneys, your lymphatic system. They